Okay, welcome race fans, and apologies for that run. That was me having muted my mic in order to start coughing already before I get underway and clear my throat and forgetting to unmute. So let's talk then about the current championship standings as we start this round 3 of season 3.2 here at the high speed ring. Zen leads the championship on 29. I believe it should be Nismo in second on a total 27 points. But then we have on 24, we have Camzilla. On 22 points, we have Chaotica. But on 23 each, we currently have Dirksey and Glovas. Comacopa clear in 7th at least. And then we have Floody in 8th. We have Preston in 9th, Zanshin in 10th, and Booze just ahead of the relegation line in 11th place. Below that relegation threat line is Mercury, Don't Need Time, and no scoring so far. T Deeds, the newly promoted driver from the GT4 World Challenge. Team Spotify are on 97 points with, I think that's 97. Let's get this right. They're in first place, at very least, ahead of Team Special K, with Zin in 3rd, Mountain Dew in 4th place, Puma, the Puma Porsches in 5th place, and then Brando in 6th, and Coca-Cola at the tail of the field. That's combined standings for both GT3 and GT4. Now, there is a slight problem with today's race, which is the nearest thing to an oval that we represent here on Deviant Racing League, at least until I get my way. We have a proper oval race one day, a special event maybe, hint, hint. But there is a slight problem in that the game was coded to make sure that drivers stick with 2 dry compounded tyres. I believe we have some rain, which should eliminate the need for changing of tyres, but the game in the end at the final standings does in fact reset the order. So I have the final standings as reworked out, so stay tuned to the very end until I can go into that, but I don't want to do that right now because I'll spoil the result for myself, and this is half the fun for me, is finding out the result. So at the back of the grid we have the safety car driver Sully. As ever, he will come out on lap 26. If I forget mid-race, please remind me. At the back of the field, qualifying in the Renault RS01 is Dirksey, with then T Deeds, that newly promoted driver from GT3 in the Team Coca-Cola car for the Mercedes GT3. He's in P12 on qualifying. Don't Need Time is 11th with Mercury in 9th in the Mellow Yellow, followed by the Zin car Mazda of S. Berman. The Puma Porsche in the Gulf liver colour scheme is Floody in 8th, with the red and white Special K of Chaotica in 7th. We have Comacopa in 6th place in the, I think it's chrome and blue fade Special K with the nice Webbo stickers on the back of the rear wing, the rear quarter, which is a very nice touch. It looks like the Spotify colours didn't come through on the replay, unfortunately, for Nismo in the Lamborghini Huracan, with the lead Zin driver in the Mazda, Camzilla, in 4th place. You're not going to miss the pink pig of this particular Spotify Lamborghini, though, of Zen in 3rd position, and then the stock liveries of the 2 Corvettes, the leading away favourite car here, I think, generally speaking, especially around a very fast-flowing circuit like the high-speed ring of Preston and Glovas, will take us away from the start. But it's time to go racing for an hour then around the high-speed ring. Remember, this is round 3 of season 3.2 here at Deviant Racing League, and we're going to get underway if everybody's ready. Greetings to Comacopa, Glovas and Smoke, who join us live on the chat, and for everybody else who has the time to drop in before the Sunday Cup starts. I think hopefully we'll be done in time for that to begin. Let's get underway then. Let's get the lights on and go racing around the high-speed ring for the first time here of the season. Several attempts at jump starts behind the drivers as it was a long hold on the lights. It's dropped the clutch and go. The 2 yellows and the pink away nicely from the start, but it is a very, very busy racetrack as they will go full speed all the way into turn 1, and they'll go side by side. You can see this, the red and white Special K of Chaotic I want to say Zen, but I think it's Chaotica right up and level with the other drivers, trying to get the side-by-side action going in, and then riding right out onto the green turf goes S. Berman and several drivers, but Berman losing it, making contact with the barrier and already damaging the front and front right of the car, unfortunately for him. And then it is an absolute melee into turn 3, the biggest stop on the racetrack, as Commentator, slow away from the start, but has managed to wrestle that car into some kind of order here on the racing hard tyres, explaining perhaps why he was so slow away from that beginning. But we also have a spinner, and that is T. Deeds. Oh, what a shame. And look at the damage on the car as we will go into turn 3, and we just narrowly avoid being swiped out by Commentator onto the loud pedal for a quick blip into turn 4. Round the corner we go, it deep into the tunnel, under the shadows where it's cold on the tarmac, on the asphalt, and spinning round, having hit both front and back of the car on board with T. Deeds. Unfortunately, as Sully slows in a medical car format there to try and make sure that everything is well with our now rearmost driver, but the two Corvettes away beautifully. Chaotica then up in the red and white Special K, milk and strawberries it looks like, and screaming on through down the long main straightaway here. Into second position goes Chaotica, but having to defend heavily into turn 1 as they will run almost full speed into the corner. Behind them, Mercury in the mellow yellow is running nicely in 4th position, with the pink pig of Zen catching and tucking in neat and tidy behind. We've got Chaotica right out, riding the wall almost, and you do very well not to pick up track limit penalties here by doing that wall riding, as Chaotica with the slipstream has picked up the fastest first sector of the race, and Zen dives deep on the brakes into turn 3. Mercury slides his way through nicely into 4th position, and it is all kicking off here at the high-speed ring early doors in our 1-hour race here for this round 3 of the championship. Zen round the outside, trying to take his Spotify Lamborghini Huracan deep into the corners. He's in the garbage album cover livery here. Very nice indeed. Only happy when it rains. We'll see about whether that rings true later on, or is it actually putting a curse on yourself for the later on in the race. Commentator's in 6th, Don't Need Time is in 7th, and fighting over 8th position goes Floody and Dirksey. Floody down on the low side, Dirksey on the high side through turn 1, and Floody found a nice route through there with a little bit of help from some slipstream and a low slung Porsche compared to the Renault RS01. But he's overcooked into the first corner and has to really slow it down into turn 2 around the outside. This track is going to challenge our drivers, and it is a glorious racetrack as well. Diving down the inside goes the all-blue Lismo for Team Spotify in the Lamborghini Huracan into 10th position. S. Berman and Camzilla, teammates for Team Zin, down in 11th and 12th, but they've chosen the hard tyres for this first stint. Try and ride it out as long as possible, and T. Deeds with a lot of work to do. He has been able to overcome the initial damage. Looked like it wasn't a huge contact with the barrier in that very section we passed now, and he's picking up the pace, but a long hill to climb for T. Deeds down in 13th position. He'll be hoping and waiting for that first safety car, first and only caution period we're going to have on lap 26. Chaotica weaving around. He's going to need to be very careful dodging around like that, because he'll lose the air on the front splitter and easily slide out into the corner as they go wide and high through turn 2. It is a fantastic corner, and we split the two bridges as we run back through, and this looks like Zen looking for an opportunity down the inside into turn 3, and taking it fairly steadily, not being too aggressive. Mercury holding on here to his right of the racing line, and he gets the cutback. Looks like it's going to be Zen and Mercury racing hard here as Zen does a cutback, runs through into the next corner on the high side. He'll have the advantage on the left of the track coming up, but he couldn't quite take advantage of it, and again tries to get a good run out of the next corner, and down the long straightaway goes Zen to start lap 5. Behind him, Commentator in the chrome-nosed and blue-tailed Team Special K livery. Now, I can't believe that's actually a cereal box. It looks very non-breakfasty, that chrome but you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong. Floody with an overtake down the inside, and he is building the speed here on the medium tyres, and up to 6th position once again, and passing cars with aplomb and very nicely indeed. Don't need times on the medium as well. He's in the Renault in P8, and Camzilla and Dirksey continue to represent Team Zin. Very, very wide there on the corner, but that does appear to be the optimal racing line. Camzilla on the hard tyres picks up the fastest first sector of anybody so far in the race on lap 5. Dirksey's in 10th, his teammate trying to copy those very quick lines, I think, as Nismo and Berman fight on. Excuse me, no, it was Dirksey was not in his teammate. It is Nismo just getting ahead of that car of S. Berman for Team Zin, and getting ahead nicely through and into P11 for the Lamborghini now, and picking up the pace again. Hard tyres coming to the fore now on lap 5, so we'll see when the drivers first decide to pit, and whether and when we get any kind of rain. You can see the glorious banking going through the final corner here of 4, 5, 6, turn 6, and final turn for T Deeds. But again, a long way back at the moment. Gonna need to do something special with the fighting, as Preston has found a way back past. Let's have a look if we can find out when that happened. Preston back past Chaotica. How far ago was that? It was a long way back. Huge. Let's have a look. How many laps am I going to end up going back to find this change of position? Because Chaotica was right with him. Looks like it was a very, very long way back. Let's keep trying now that we're this deep into it. But no, I think it's not going to happen, as Chaotica has lost that second place, but having a good run then down the long straightaway and heading back live into turn 1. Komakopa just trying to blind the other drivers, he says, with the chrome, not trying to represent any particular flavour of Special K this time, or Special Edition. But P3, Komakopa wide once again, going high to go low in through turn 2, and try and hook the car up nicely. But that is a good improvement for Preston under pressure, and already putting in some quick laps. Medium tyres on board the lead pairing of the Corvette team, and they have not decided to split the strategies. They have decided that the medium is the right tyre to start on. It's been fairly gentle on the tyres, has the Corvette. It's been an all-round great race car these last couple of seasons in the current evolution of GT7, but Preston doing a great job at the moment, repelling Chaotica's advantage. But will it carry on? We'll see later on. Mercury is still ahead, but only just, of Zen in that all-pink garbage Spotify livery. Garbage the band. I'm not giving an opinion on the livery by calling it garbage. Don't worry about that. Here comes Floody for another overtake into turn 1, and he is flying on the medium tyres for the Puma Porsche. That's another great overtake then from Floody. He's really hooked up through the final corner, and of course it gives him huge advantage all the way down the straightaway, and he's in a great position come turn 1. We've got Komakopa in 7th there on the hard tyre as well, and just trying to continue along neat and tidy here, but don't need time is catching on the medium tyres. Komakopa too late on the brakes, opens the door, and there was just a Renault's width going through turn 3 and into turn 4, and don't need time, don't need another invitation. He was straight on that one. Car 14 up into P7, and a personal best in so doing by half a second as well, with a double toe down the main straight. Camzilla, 9th position, the lead car of Team Zin, underperforming at the moment, I think, Team Zin for this race, but there's a lot of asphalt still to burn through, as Komakopa is dropping down a little bit on the hard tyre. He has got some heavy tyre wear on those hard tyres, so his setup not helping him. Very high degradation, it seems, this early phase of our round 3 of the championship. This is don't need time. This is Floody leading this group and catching Zen really quickly on board with Floody, who's obviously qualified a lot lower than he had hoped, and that his underlying race pace seems to be offering at this stage. Maybe he's burning his fuel too much. Zen sort of washes out a little bit into turn 3. So on these medium tyres, Floody has brought them into a grippy place very quickly, and under the tunnel we go. plenty of opportunity for that slipstreaming to get the draft here, and you can just see and feel on board with Floody that this is going to come nicely to him as he runs a kind of middle line through the final corner. Is he going to get the overspeed that he's been experiencing from the previous runs through here? He has got a couple of miles an hour faster, make that about 4 or 5 now at this point, but I think it's going to be too little, too late down into turn 1. He's trying to put the frighteners here on Zen, who leaves the door open once again, and Floody straight on through, and that Puma Porsche driving beautifully at the moment, and Floody at the wheel checks his mirrors on the way into turn 2, and no attempt at apexes through turn 2 from our drivers today. They are more than happy to just run this one. I wonder if Floody is a Piastri fan running car number 81 here on the car, or whether he chooses a number around that kind of vintage as I do for a very different reason. Here then, a close-up of the all-pink garbage livery then for Team Spotify as we run round. Just get a good look at this livery, and it's very smart indeed. Just missing one thing, I think, on that livery, and you can hazard your guesses as to what I think that might be. But Zen through the final corner, and waiting there for the first pit stops. We've got our first pit stop. It's Glovas in the pits off the medium tyre, and he really shredded that front right, so he absolutely needed to pit. Are my eyes deceiving me, or is it getting a little bit overcast as Camzilla makes a nice slipstream overtake around the outside there before he gets into turn 1 of Don't Need Time, and Camzilla up to P6. Let's have a ride on board and see. It is looking a bit more overcast. It's starting to threaten with a little bit of rain, but of course the telltale sign will be the windshield wipers starting to operate, or wiper as it will be on most of the cars. And that's a nice time there from Camzilla as the fuel burns off and he's running those hard tyres. You can obviously run those hard tyres to the full tank of fuel on this first phase, but I am expecting to see drivers into the pits, and we may see some rain as well later on. So let's just check out what's happening further up the order. In P2 at the moment is Chaotica. Make that P1 very quickly, because there we saw Preston pitting. So Preston and his teammate have now pitted on sequential laps, and Chaotica takes the lead. He's on the hard tyres, in a good place at the moment. If he can run this hard tyre all the way to any potential rain, then he'll be in a great position later on. It's lap 9 right now. We are just under 10 minutes of running of a 1 hour timed race, and that is 1 hour for all drivers. So we often get tail of the field finishing before the front of the field when we get that overlap. Floodie's up to second place, but he's still on the medium tyres. Looks like the Porsche much more well balanced perhaps than the Corvette was, and running those medium tyres, I would imagine Floodie's on his way in this lap, or at the latest a lap later than that. So we will see. Apologies for not interacting with the live chat, but I lost it on my alternate device. So thanks to Gareth for the support of Floodie here. Floodie then in second place, and he's got the mellow yellow behind him, but Mercury goes through as Floodie does indeed pit before the tyres completely let go on him, and the Mercedes AMG GT3 of Mercury up into second place as Floodie drops down the order naturally, but he's on the hard tyres, as is Chaotica in the lead of this race, as is Zen in the Lamborghini. Camzilla, I believe, as well. Looks like the hard runners are all in the ascendancy, all in the top 5 right now, and I think that means virtually every medium runner has pitted. Some right on the canvas, some with a little bit of rubber left on the tyres, and it's definitely looking like it's going to rain very, very soon. And Dirksy's in P8. So the drivers will be looking at that and thinking, well, you know what, if we did start on the mediums, this wasn't the best calculation, because we'll obviously end up spending an additional pit stop to the leaders. But will the pace be good enough? Here is T. Deeds on the hard tyre, being passed by the former leader, Preston and Glovas. In fact, do you know what? It does feel like Preston making a bit of a meal over this one. But of course, TDs doesn't get blue flags for this situation. Just tags the barrier, I think, slightly. We haven't seen any time penalties for drivers wall riding at this stage, as Glovas has got to go completely offline and onto the marbles, unless he's patient enough to wait for TDs to spark and rub that pretty livery off the car into the pits. Comes TDs, and that's a bit early. I wonder if he's going to roll the dice and go onto wet tyres or intermediates, because he's run the hard tyres and he's run out of racetrack and grip. So running through the order then, here we have Floody has just pitted and put on medium tyres. Looks like Glovas put on a set of hard tyres, which surprises me because we're expecting rain later on the session. But maybe he just wants to make sure he's got those both dry compounds out the way in case it's possible to run. Gareth saying wall penalties are off, but it was a very serious what? If you ride walls, we will erase your existence in this race. Okay. Well, I don't think anybody's caught any advantage. It does look accidental at this stage, doesn't it? But yeah, we're looking at rolling the kind of Thanos dice here for as a penalty for wall riding. So interesting. There's Commentator in, Chaotica in, Mercury all in. That means Zen leads, and we've got Dirksey and S. Berman. S. Berman going into third position ahead of Nismo, who is rapid down over that high line, but not rapid enough to take that third position. It's Berman, Nismo, and Dirksey then at this stage. Dirksey with a good view of Nismo, and decreasing light, increasing grey skies. I know it's a very British thing to talk about rain with great passion, but it does spice up the racing if and when it happens. Nismo washing out a little bit. This is Dirksey on his first set of tyres still, and obviously his first tank of fuel. He's running very low on fuel. He might need to head in for a splash and dash. It might even be worth trying a softer compound of tyres, or the softest compound of tyres at this stage. But he's actually picking up a great toe through the final corner. I'm expecting him in here. He kind of has to pit, and all of his peer group around him all pit at the same time as well on track. I don't know if that was a hint of rain. Was it in the air? This is Preston, former leader of the race. Now in 6th position, will take lots of these places back. But Zen is staying out on his first tank of fuel, and he has been sipping the fuel, I think, to get deep into lap 13, and he's desperately hoping that the rain falls or is worth a gamble on the tyres here at this stage. But he's going to have to be a little bit conservative as he runs through this lap to make sure he doesn't hit low fuel mode. I think he'll be safe. Just about to close out the second of 3 sectors. So Zen, as the mist the mist is descending, and he has hit the jackpot, I think, as the rain is falling. The windshield wipers are on, so headed into pit lane goes our leader Zen, saving a pit stop off everybody else by tiptoeing around the first stint of this race. Here comes Preston then. Is it too early for the likes of Preston on up to temperature and up to fuel medium tyres? Is it too early to pit? It is, as far as he's concerned. The rain is falling, but it's too early to risk it right now. Floody does not have the windshield wipers on, so he's in the slipstream of Glovas' Corvette. As Zen comes out of the pits, I'll check out his tyre decision in a second. Maybe it's too early to head on to the intermediate tyres. And Floody looking on the outside, looking to the inside now as they head down into turn 2. This is an unusual place to use the racetrack, and you can see there's no grip on the inside. Nobody is running the low line through turn 2, and so it becomes very slippery down there, and he just couldn't make the most of it and make the overtake at that phase. So Floody in 3rd, Chaotica in 4th place in the red and white Special K for this race, and running on out of that turn 4, heading through the flat out turn 5 before the final turn 6 coming up. Now let's have a look at Zen and see if, once we've seen whether Floody can hook up into the draft behind the Corvette. Well, they're all going into the pits. I'm sure Floody made up some headway there that time. And Mercury pits as well. I think it's too wet for running. And there you see, Zen did fit the intermediate tyres. He was a bit slower. I could see, don't need time catching from behind. And I think that's Karma Copa, is now in second position as he runs in on the medium tyres. And it is really, really coming down now. Karma Copa on the mediums, rolling the dice here to try and gain track position while his medium tyres are warm. He's got Zen in front of him, and that will help him a little bit, because if you're running behind another driver in the wet and there's not too much spray, let's have a look. No, not a lot of spray from our camera position anyway. You can kind of see when they make a mistake and you can correct something when you're following another driver. They're the kind of guinea pig out there in the wet conditions. Likewise, you can also follow them off the circuit. But generally speaking, it is a slight advantage to have a reference point in front of you in the wet. But these two drivers have done a good job so far. Comacopa will have to pit for the intermediate tyres, I feel. I think the rain is due to set in for the majority of our race. Zen washing right out with understeer through the final corner here, but just regathering before he hit the wall. What's Zen doing into the pits? Has he decided to go onto the full wet tyre potentially, as Preston has done here? Preston is going to come up. Oh, we get a nudge from the rear from Chaotica. That's a little bit on the rude side. It's the wet tyres not doing so well into the braking zone and through the cornering performance. Here comes Chaotica with the better traction out of the corner. He's the bump drafting is Chaotica, and that's incredibly dangerous, as is weaving around in the wake of the car in front of you while you're on slightly better tyres. He doesn't really want to take the position at this stage, it seems. From behind he's fairly safe, but he's pressurising Preston. Oh, that's a little bit of a nudge into the wall from Chaotica. He's got a good exit from the car. Why are we declining the overtake here from Chaotica, I wonder? We're not short on fuel, as he looks for the apex and misses it by maybe 3 yards to the apex. Preston, big outwash of the steering through turn 4 that time, and Chaotica has been hotter on the traction. Can we find our way in and through, or are we going to wait for the next straightaway to have a go? There we go, a nice draft, a nice positioning this time, and pushing Gareth, saying bump drafting to get away from the car behind. This is level with Preston then, as we head into turn 1. We do appear to have a slight tyre advantage on the intermediates. That's not what Zen thought, but Preston with a good exit out of turn 1 because he wasn't using the lower side of the racetrack. Chaotica's running round the long way. Preston didn't dare go down the inside that time of the corner. How is Zen doing? I think he's come out on full wet. The level of water and spray that the drivers are accruing here is building to about 65%, maybe more, standing water. You can see those glorious GT7 visuals as they run through the different water effects through the corners. Zen in 6th position, had to make a second stop. He would have been leading this race had he just made the single stop that he was aiming for. But Floody, with the well-balanced Porsche, okay for the moment on the intermediate tyres. Zen looking for the advantage. I don't know if you can see the tyre display of the car in front, but certainly he's got a great run, and it's now a crossing point. It's definitely a better tyre to be on, that wet tyre, as Floody will now start to suffer chronic understeer through the corners on the intermediate tyre, and he'll be hoping to get through to the next pitting window, really, prior to the safety car lap 26 it will be. It will be deep into our race, as now of course the driver's running much slower, 6, 7 seconds, maybe 8 seconds slower than they were running in the dry, and I think it's going to get even worse than that as we run further into the race as the rain falls heavily. You can see the trouble that Zen has got on board here, just behind Mercury. Now, got past Floody, and now it's the dry tunnel section of the track. So passing Mercury nicely. Mercury not fighting this one. You can see the different grip that Zen has got, and Zen runs right around the outside of the final corner. A sort of high to medium positioning on the track for Zen into P4 then, and on the overhaul from a difficult strategic decision, kind of second guessing his intermediate run, but has ended up making as many pit stops as most of the drivers. This is Mercury then, also on the full wet tyre. Zen had a distinct advantage through those corners, despite the fact that they're on the same tyre. So it's slightly confusing me. Maybe Zen is just that damn good, as the mellow yellow Carnot 46, rocking Valentino Rossi's number, is in 5th position, and Zen then closing in on Glovas. And Glovas struggling with the very rear tail-happy Corvette. The one downside really is the level of grip balance between the two cars, as the Lamborghini comes through nicely the slowest section of the racetrack in the middle sector, but Glovas was clearly kind of fishtailing his way through those slower corners, trying to get the power down, feeling the pressure of the headlights from Zen's Lamborghini. But Zen is very slow. Why is Zen so slow down this straight? I'm presuming that was a penalty we couldn't see for Zen, unfortunately. So he obviously lost a lot of time on that lap. Clearly picked up a time penalty that wasn't displayed on screen, I think, unless he completely missed a gear change, but I think that's unlikely. Mercury right behind Zen here for 4th and 5th positions, and just waiting, what, 6 more laps before the caution period, and that was Chaotica having a very difficult run through turn 2 from the lead of the race, and just very slow, very unhappy, hitting the barrier and damaging the front splitter is Chaotica. He's on the wrong tyres as well, so that was the lead, down to 6th place, and it might be he might lose even more positions than that. So now we have some tight racing. We've got Preston ahead of Glovas. The Corvette's absolutely awful in the rain, it seems, because these drivers have not suddenly forgotten how to drive. But there is Zen just with the oversteer coming out of turn 4. Oh, absolutely heartbreaking for Zen. He's taken his time to get back on so that he releases Chaotica, who just made his own mistake. And I do just now see a Webbo sticker on Zen's car, which is great to see, so thank you for that. But unfortunately, Zen having the same problem we've seen several times, completely changing grip quality through the tunnel. And good stuff from GT7 to represent that nicely, but the drivers will not be enjoying it because the track is cold under the tunnel, and now it's dry, and you're hitting it with wet tyres straight onto dry in a traction zone, and that is clearly causing the drivers a lot of difficulty today. Mercury just correcting, just coping on the way through turn 2. This track is full of difficulties. Now, am I right or am I wrong? But was Mellow Yellow a sponsor in Days of Thunder? I think it was. I think that's where I know it from. But yeah, car looking great out there. Very, very nicely done indeed. Whoever designed that one. Mercury in that 3rd position ahead of the Puma Porsche of Floody, but behind the 2 Corvettes, who suddenly do appear to have found some balance. They're on different tyres. Hats off to Glovas here on the intermediates, living with, and he's actually aquaplaning down the straight. You can see him actually making corrections to the steering wheel just on the straightaway. So Glovas driving beautifully here, I have to say, on an intermediate tyre. and presumably hoping that the rain eases. Really struggling, putting in way more corrections than anybody else, but still living with the same pace of the drivers around him. 1 minute 15, late 1 minute 15s they're on at this stage, which is about 6 seconds a lap slower than the fastest they have been. As Preston, car's looking incredibly slow through these corners, and Glovas is fully sideways again. Windshield wipers at the fore, and the scene of many an accident, but Glovas copes with a sideways car heading into the tunnel section. Once again, great stuff. Very, very entertaining, but surely it's only a matter of time before Mercury on the wet tyres can make the overtake. He goes high, goes low, he gets stuck in the slipstream, looking for a kind of violent outswing there. Gareth saying Preston came to play today. Certainly did. And Mercury making a real meal of trying to get past Glovas's car right now. I thought he would have a much bigger grip advantage through the corners. Can he get the inside into turn 2? It's an ill-favoured manoeuvre, turn 2. Most drivers running out on the green asphalt on the outside of the circuit, and Glovas defending onto the entry into turn 3. Mercury looking for the cutback. There's a gap on the inside line. Mercury also sideways, which means that the gap needs to be bigger if you're going to try and make the overtake. Slightly sideways. Out of turn 4. This one is trouble, this tunnel again. And there again is the penalty slow down position. Mercury through. The drivers just earning their money here today. P3, P4 just behind, and P2 just ahead. It's lap 23. We are nearing half distance. We'll be seeing Sully, our safety car driver, very soon, but Floody with a great exit out of the final corner. And how many times have I said that already this race? Floody getting past much more easily, and now we'll see if Floody can be the one to make the overtake. He too is on the intermediate tyres, didn't fancy the wets, goes for the inside line, and Mercury takes the invitation to try and run on the high side. Here comes Floody, and he's got the nose ahead. They're going to come very, very close to each other. Floody down the inside, which is the slower route through turn 2, thanks to the aggressive incline on the banking. Can't quite make the manoeuvre, and Mercury having a look at the opportunity. We'll see if Mercury can make the run through as well. And Floody is sideways through these slow corners. Opens the door to the inside. Mercury doesn't fancy having a go on the inside. The intermediate tyres. Oh, and there's Preston. There's Preston, and it looked like Floody having his own problem trying to overcome trying to get past Preston. Let's have a look on Preston's car and how that went down. Here he comes through turn 4, out of turn 4. He's still accelerating at a low gear, hits the wall, and then Floody makes contact, and a four-way battle for the podium has just become a two-way battle for the lead now, and that was problematic to say the least for Preston. And he's damaged nearly every part of the car, unfortunately, as Preston. And the second hit by Floody probably wasn't helpful to him either. He's damaged both front wheels and the front splitter. The good news is they can pit now. They can't pit, I don't think, on the next lap through. So that is going to be important for them. Preston declining the pit lane despite the initial damage, which has now cleared. But Zen gets through into third position. Mercury and Glovas will continue the fight. And Sully will be getting ready to head out very soon of the pit lane for his safety car parade. Glovas then running round. We'll take a look at the race order very soon for you as the safety car comes out. Mercury away into the lead of the race right now. Thinking about Junkai at the moment and everybody affected by the recent hurricane. So best wishes to all of them. I hope we get power back for those of you without power. And just horrible news to see, and to see it affecting our league and our racing as well. I know that's very much secondary, but that's our connection. So thoughts to everybody affected by that, but especially Junkai, who's had his problems. Mercury in that first position. We do have Sully waiting to come out, but he's waiting until the end of the next lap, the following lap. And in third position, we have Zen there, then on his own now. And here comes Sully. I think Sully's late. I think Sully has been caught napping. I don't know why we're looking at the rain, but on the sea. But yes, Sully was a little bit late coming out of the pits, I think. Misjudged that one. As he slides round the corner. I do love to see a safety car driver letting it all hang out here. He was in a real hurry. He's limited. It says limited to 60 to 70 miles an hour, but quite frankly, he was gunning it here after making a mistake. Comes out on cold tyres. He's fitted wets, and then woo, as we go for a full-on fishtail round the corner to try and get those positions back, exceeding his own speed limit, which is great to see. So Sully out for the caution period. So we have Mercury in first, we have Glovas in second, Zen in third, Preston in fourth, just past halfway point of the race. We don't need time. We're expecting a change of conditions or a randomised conditions at the end of the race, so things might change later on as well. Don't need time's in fifth, Nismo's in sixth, and Camzilla in seventh place. Floody down to 8th after the accident with Preston, which Floody couldn't really avoid, and Floody has now put a new set of intermediates on. Chaotica's in 9th, we have Dirksey in 10th, S. Berman is in 11th place right now, and no one has been lapped at this stage because TD is in 12th, Comacopa down in 13th place, and then we have Sully. So let's maybe skip forward, shall we, to... Oh great, okay. Sorry folks, ignore me here, hit the wrong button. What is going on? It didn't like that, did it? It was minute 32, wasn't it? I'll try and edit this out later. Okay. Serves me right for trying to skip too far forwards, I think. Let's just skip to the end of the safety car lap, as it will be here. And this is then Sully's lap 2. It's Mercury's lap 26 as we get underway. As Anatol says, we can't manage to find good safety car drivers. They have one job, but they get to they get to show themselves on screen for a very limited period, and I think that's part of the problem. Is they just want to show off a little bit in the races. So everybody coming into the pits behind the safety car, that's brilliant. That is absolutely brilliant to see. Everybody in for, I guess, fuel at the first opportunity, with the exception of Floody, of Chaotica, because these guys have only recently pitted. So intermediates for Floody and Chaotica, wets for Dirksey and Berman. And we wait then for Mercury to come out. You're going to lose position, but not track time as a result of making this decision. Is it a brim full of full of fuel? It is. It absolutely is. Here to see out the final 26 minutes as they just tick over on the clock. So that will reset the order. Everybody out in roughly the order they came out in beforehand. Mercury, then Camzilla. No, in fact, some of the drivers have shorter fueled here, or at least taken less time in the pit lane. So Gloves is in 6th now. Preston 7th. Camzilla 8th. Something's going on there with Zen dropping down the order. I think they're resetting themselves possibly. Some issue coming out of the final corner. I think that's Mazda going wrong there at the tail of the field. So we've got Don't Need Time Nismo, TD's 12th. Camzilla, it was having some problems with the car and put the hazard lights on. He's damaged the car, managed to lose traction under the safety car conditions, which is not unusual. We've seen it before. So let's get ready for some green flag racing, shall we? As we have roughly 24.5 minutes to go. Floody will be our new leader, and as he crosses the line, he will go green, green, green. Gareth saying, Floody where he belongs. This is his last race with his old sim equipment. Fanatec Floody's reign of terror begins. Floody goes and gets us underway as Chaotica follows suit, and Dirksey is very, very close behind. Different tyres for the drivers, intermediates for the front two, wets for Dirksey. Will that prove to be pivotal here in this battle early on, straight after our only caution period, as Dirksey looking for the exit of turn 1 to try and challenge here Chaotica as they run line astern into the corner. Comacopa going down low into turn 2, and we've seen drivers make mistakes doing this, but it is absolutely frantic on the restart lap, which is exactly what we want to see. Floody leads, but in the midfield things are getting very, very busy indeed. Comacopa, who races in the PSVR2 system, but Chaotica, I have to stop my own thought there, Chaotica's had an issue, so Chaotica heads down into turn 3. What we'd love to see it, but he just couldn't recover it. And a groan if that was a drift challenge, but Chaotica off onto the grass. He almost held it, and it looked great. So picking up some Webbo style points there, but down to 11. That is heartbreaking for Chaotica. Floody's out at the lead of this race with Dirksey in second. S. Berman has all kinds of headlights patterns and spray patterns in his rear view mirror at the moment, as Comacopa racing in that PSVR2 system, which has got to feel terrifying in these conditions, especially in the mist. It's going to look something like this, but it's going to be all far faster. It feels so different in the PSVR2 system as well, and you're checking your mirrors, and it's great for that, but visibility, this has got to be pretty terrifying for him, as Comacopa in that 4th place, with Glovas diving down the inside into turn 2. Will Glovas be able to get ahead here of Comacopa, and he smashes into the barrier. Glovas completely misjudging that turn 2 overtake, and he's basically being crowded out now by Nismo, by Mercury. Mercury going round the outside. He's on the wet tyres. It becomes the inside on the switch back into the next slow corner. Nismo's going to try and follow through in classic tin top racing action. And Glovas will hold on, will he? But everybody taking it very, very carefully out and through the tunnel as they're rubbing both left and right sides of the car for Mercury. This is brilliant stuff from the drivers. Unfortunately, I confidently predict someone's going to start crying in a minute, because this is pretty terrible coming through the corners. This has got to be absolutely brilliant racing. Drivers' heart rates will be sky high as Zen finds some clear racetrack to find a way to go side by side with Comacopa. Looks like Comacopa's struggling right now a little bit. I wonder if the rain is easing a bit and the race is coming to the intermediate tyre drivers as they run through. It doesn't look any less wet from the trackside cameras, but Comacopa hanging on now, defending hard on the inside. Zen hits the barrier coming through turn 2. That's going to mean everybody crowds him out as well. Nismo on the outside. Comacopa trying to go down the middle, and we certainly can't do 4 Kyles wide into the slowest corner on the track. So the driver's really risking it all here as Zen slots back into 5th. Nismo slides his way up into 4th position, and I wonder if everyone makes it out of this tunnel safely this time. Everybody being a lot more careful, maybe short shifting coming out of the tunnel now in these conditions. Mercury, from leading this group, is down to 7th as everything just kicks off, and the driver's just Zen sliding high side through the final corner. That's going to hurt him all the way down the straightaway. And Comacopa goes through. Mercury from 7th back to 6th. Look at this. Tremendous racing. It's not doing my rusty voice any good at all, but we still love to see it. Mercury dives down the inside of Glovas and takes that 6th position. Does he? No. Yeah, Glovas down to 7th. Comacopa running high, and Mercury sliding up to 5th place. Absolutely brilliant racing here. This is what we came to see. This is the GT3 World Challenge, and there's a yellow flag because Zen, I think, had a problem Let's just check it out from Zen's perspective. It wasn't Commentator again, was it? Here is Zen then, as he tries to get the momentum to take advantage of anybody else's problems. Go down, he might have just nudged Don't Need Time a little bit. Didn't release it. Oh no, it was Floody! Whoa, it was Floody making a mistake there. Wow, Floody and Dirksey spinning out of the race, but how? How did that happen? Let's look from behind. Did Dirksey just make contact with Floody? If he did, it was gentle, and it didn't trigger the actual accident. Floody is, yeah, he's got mirrors full of Dirksey at this stage. Intermediate tyres on Floody's car. And it is wet tyres on Dirksey's. A big imbalance of grip. Floody is round. Dirksey collects him as an accident, and that is where the lead disappeared to as everybody comes flying through. And Floody probably lucky to get away with so little damage, as it looked like maybe there was a reset to track happened there. I don't want to accuse anybody falsely, but it's S. Berman now leading the race in the Mazda for Team Zin. These guys were down outside of the top 10 teams in earlier on. What a sequence of corners that was. I had no idea this race was going to be quite so off the rails. Behind the two, this is the fight for the final step on the podium as things stand, but I think there's a lot of water to flow under the bridge before we get there. It's Berman and Nismo rub wheel arches, and on both sides, little Sonic the Hedgehog on the back of the Mazda there. I have to tip my cap to that. I was a Sonic and a Sega guy as a youngster. We have P3 as he goes 3. Anatol says Floody said that he misjudged the grip on the drying track. Wow. Okay. It looks like that's going to be a problem for a lot of drivers as they cross away from wet side of the track to the dry line, and everybody just making a mistake after mistake. This is tremendous racing from the drivers, thoroughly entertaining. This is the battle for the lead as Berman defends from Nismo, but Nismo's going to go right round the outside on the better tyre, I think, at this stage, the intermediate. We're waiting then for the wet runners to pit for dry tyres, but they will be waiting to the last possible moment, I think, because they don't want to come out on wet tyres. Nismo with a commanding lead, probably one of the biggest leads we've seen so far in the race, as Berman goes from dry to wet lines, and you can see the effect it had on the car. Glovas down the low side through the final corner. Are there any wet runners going to be heading into pit lane at this stage? Not just yet. Maybe Camzilla? Or is he just defending from Chaotica? I think he is. So the wet tyre drivers not waiting too soon. T. Deeds is pitted. He's rolling the dice at the back of the order. He drops down to 12th. Dirksey is in 13th place after being in second just behind Floody. And while I don't think he triggered the accident with Floody, he certainly has nowhere to go. There goes Berman sideways round turn 2 and losing a lot of momentum, even more momentum out to Nismo. So Glovas looking for the inside line into turn 3. And you can run side by side through here, but he's quite happy to steal the exit for Berman and cut across the racetrack, take that side by side action away from us, and into second place for reigning champ Glovas. Berman in third place now, and then Commentator leads Zen and Mercury for 4th, 5th and 6th. Wow, around we go once again. Commentator then mid-final corner for Commentator, having his own accident there, unfortunately for him. And so one by one the drivers are just disappearing from these battles. We had a very, very intense period of racing, and suddenly it's starting to thin out a little bit here. Zen is fully on the wet side of the track here, going through on the wet line through the corner. That is the Zin of the former leader S. Berman having a problem as well. When like this reminds me of the Monaco Grand Prix that no one wanted to win because we are just having problem after problem for the front runners here. Now what was S. Berman's issue here, as he collects some water on the inside tyres and then just struggling. That is 720, 1080 spin possibly for S. Berman. Ends up facing the wrong way and has to do a 3-point turn. in the path of former crasher former leader Floody as well, who's now in 9th place on the grid. Great action. It's really busied up here in the middle sector of the race. So Zen coming through in the mid-sector now. Anatol saying engine damage. For who, Anatol? For who? Was that Komakopa, potentially? And Zen right round the outside. There is no margin for error if you do that. And that's Camzilla spinning. That's Camzilla with a spin through the corner. Now, did he fall or was he pushed? Let's check this one out from Camzilla's perspective. Oh, it's a not great run through the corner. Yeah, it kind of had his own accident. Recovered well to face the right way and avoid too much contact with the barrier. Checked his headlights were working, which is stylish. Donny Times got in the pits. Camzilla, no damage on the car. And that high-pitched scream of the Mazda. So many accidents. You're absolutely right. This is absolutely crazy race. Zen runs around in 4th now and is catching Mercury. Has anybody tried the dry tyres yet, I wonder? It still looks pretty wet out there as drivers are still having accidents. Zen just recovers coming through the corner. I can see the next candidate race for my clips already. And they'll be wanting to make some reels and shorts out of this, because this has been action-packed, this race. Lots and lots of problems in the wet at the high-speed ring. Drivers tempted to take as little downforce as possible for the race, but knowing we were heading into a wet weather forecast, we may get some dry running at the end of the race. Certainly it's a lot drier at the moment. Let's ride with Preston. Windshield wipers are not on now. That is, I don't mean to call out drivers at all, but that was pretty clear wall riding as Chaotica goes 90 degrees to the racing track and racing line, hits the front wing, and the splitter is broken. Komakopa, pity for slicks right after my spin. That was interesting. Okay, well, if it was interesting, let's go and have a look at something interesting, shall we? We haven't been spoilt for action, but here we have hard tyres. Why would you put hards on? Surely the mediums could have got you home here. But yeah, Komakopa on the hard tyres, out in the wet conditions on lap 35. Gareth says, off with Mercury's head, wall ride. Preston says it wasn't bull riding on his end, just a replay issue. Okay. I've been fooled by drivers before now, so I'm in fact I'm pretty sure it was Preston who got me before. So yeah, I'm afraid, fool me once, shame on me, but fool me twice, no. Komakopa then, it all looks very serene. I don't know what you're talking about, Komakopa. Just keen to get your livery out on screen, will you? Well, we'll give you a due. It's very pretty indeed. Nice stuff, and you've got your name on the back as well, which is great to see. Zen down in 11th. What's he up to? Well, he's damaged the rear of the car, but he's on new hard tyres as well. Obviously the driver's not very confident to get a medium tyre compound home in these cooler conditions and lighter on fuel. Still 12 and a bit minutes to go. Yellow flag, and who is that? It's Dirksey, unfortunately. So we haven't seen a mistake from Dirksey for a while. Nice one. Nice little spin from Dirksey. Let's look at that in real time from the cockpit perspective. And that was fully on the wall. That was a full-on spin, unfortunately for him. And lots of sound effects as well. So one more time for good measure. That needs a spin me right round audio clip on that one, doesn't it? Beautiful stuff from Dirksey. Unfortunately though, it's not a fast way of going racing, and look how much damage it's done to the car, and it was too late to peel into the pits as well. Crazy race. What a great time we're having in the nice dry commentary box, I have to say. T-Deeds started at the back, was way off the pace early on. He's in third place. Nismo's lost his lead to Preston, so that's happened as Preston is now lapping Berman. Berman was fighting for the podium earlier on, and now he's being lapped as Preston struggling out on the wet side of the racetrack through the final corner. And I'll be hoping to try and... Oh no, into the pits goes Preston, off the medium tyres. So that's presumably why these drivers are suddenly caught. Nismo is on the hard tyres and in a good place. T Deeds, well, he's on mediums. He does have to pit again for fuel next lap, I think. But what a run from T Deeds from absolutely nowhere after lap 1. And here he is in second position. And he'll need some fuel as well at the end of this lap for the final 10 minutes. After this lap is done. We've been putting in some good lap times as T Deeds in the Coca-Cola Mercedes AMG, and picking up the tow as well on the back of Nismo this stage. So I imagine T Deeds will be in, probably feed into to P5 to 7, I would have thought, after his pit stop. And now Glovas has the medium tyres on and trying to rescue this race for the Chevy team. P4 for Mercury. It's all calmed down a little bit here. We've got some close running between Comacopa in 6th and Preston in 7th. The low growling Chevy Corvette. But some damage on the front of the car here for Preston. Medium tyres, the sun's coming out, so that will have its own issues for the drivers in the reflections of the wet racetrack. Let's have a look. How bad is it? I wonder. We'll see as we do a full 180 here into the final corner, using that low side, which is where the water, ironically, really, you would expect the water to run down the banking to the low side, but yeah, visibility okay right now for Preston here, who was leading this race earlier on. Let's not forget. So behind them we have Zen and Chaotica running very closely to one another. They're on hard tyres and trying to run this race to a finish. Don't have any damage on the car at the moment, and we've got the sun peeking out over the hills here at the high speed ring, and this sim is absolutely stunning in changing conditions and changing light conditions as well. This, I think it is the pick of the bunch. Chaotica in 8th position. Zen just getting away from Chaotica a little bit. They were very close a few moments ago, but it looks like Zen has got the pace advantage here on the hard tyres right now. We've got some close running, have we? Well, this is T Deeds having just come out of the pits on new hard tyres, and another interesting choice. I feel like I would have gone mediums, and that may be overfilling with fuel as well, but he's playing it very safe. T Deeds doesn't want another pit stop, so he's brimmed the tank and he's put the hardest compound tyre on, but not struggling for pace at the moment. T Deeds, fresh tyres against Camzilla doing well in the championship. T Deeds yet to score, but getting a great slipstream here. Will it be a bump draft, or is he tempted to go for a manoeuvre into turn 1? He is tempted, and both drivers started to go low together. I don't think anybody forced the issue there. They did touch, but Camzilla didn't end up in the wall, so they'll count that one as a reprieve. T Deeds, I think, lets Camzilla back because of the contact, and very sporting that was indeed of the former GT4 World Challenge driver who was promoted just now for this season 3.2. This is T Deeds then. Oh dear me, just as I'm calling out all of his accolades and his skill, unfortunately wet hard tyres, and he's off onto, it's all going wrong for T Deeds, and it's just not recovering. Oh dear. I really feel for him. That is a huge shame, and the boat of a Mercedes AMG at these slow speeds just cannot turn. No turning circle at all. Floody takes 10th away. Commentator curse? Yeah, right, I'll take that one. I've done worse, but sure. I try not to say things like, and you know, they're nailed on for a win here or anything. But anyway, P11 at the moment for T Deeds, and you have to say, prior to that error, he was on for a much better result, and it would have been well deserved. And it's overdue as well in the third race of this championship. Floody in 10th right now, and he has had tremendous pace throughout this race at different points, but right now, unfortunately, down to 10th place. Have we got any medium runners ahead of him? No, I don't think so. Commentator's in 6th place, and he is catching who? Preston? Maybe. Preston out there on the wet, and a spin, and you can just see it happening. You can just watch it happening in slow motion as Preston goes out onto the wet side of the track on medium tyres that are worn, hits the puddles, and damages the front of the car. It's too early for him to really gauge how damaged that car is, but with 6 minutes to go, it would absolutely total his race here. I do feel like most of the drivers have overfueled this race finish. Don't need time is 4th position, and putting in some consistent lap times here, getting faster and faster as the track dries up. Looking good for the Renault team. And then we have the mellow yellow of Mercury in that P3. The car's looking so much slower through these 2 slow corners than they do the rest of the track, of course. And at the front of the race, we have Nismo and Globas here in second. Nismo catching the drivers in front, and those drivers are the rearmost drivers, Dirksey and now Floody, who is down and has had another error, I think. So Floody down from 10th down to 13th position, unfortunately. Commentator saying the Merc of Mercury is still in the intermediates. Good call, absolutely. That looked like a far from ideal line through the corner. Mercury trying to get this car home, trying to just scrub off all the tread on the intermediate tyres and get this car home in the conditions. So probably deliberately heading onto the wet part of the track, it looks like, but it's still not going to be faster than dry tyres on the dry line. Mercury about to be passed, I feel. He'll actually struggle just for traction out of the corners. It'll be that easy. Ford don't need time. He runs up into 3rd position, and he'll be really pleased if he can bring this home onto the podium today, because so many drivers have had problems in these low grip conditions. We're into the final phase of the race. We're ticking off the final few laps now. Don't need time in 3rd place, and already gapping Mercury significantly. Mercury trying to get some moisture on those tyres, cool them off, and get some performance on the tyres. Is he pulling to the left, or is he just using the pit wall? He is. So not going into the pits at the moment, just trying to use and cool off those tyres. They'll be overheating. You can see the front left actually is the most limited tyre in the wet conditions, which is counterintuitive. Certainly counter to what we've seen elsewhere from the drivers. Commentator will fancy getting into 4th position here, and is closing up on his rival in front. Talking about closing up, here is Camzilla. Had his own moment a few moments ago and is now chasing down former leader Preston. Hard tyres working well. 2.5 minutes just over to go in our race. Front brake caliper and disc glowing hot on Camzilla's car as he goes through turn 2. Might have an overtake coming, and up ahead of them is Chaotica as well. So battle very much on for P6, 7 and 8. Still to be decided here. It's lap 44. We're now running close to fully dry lap times. Still 2 seconds, maybe 3 seconds away in low fuel conditions from the outright ultimate pace that we've seen at the start of the race. But it hasn't rained for some time now. The water is taking a long time to shift. Here comes Cam on Preston, and that was pretty easy down the main straightaway. Camzilla up into 6th. Preston deposed down, and you can see some of the paint has been marked off the Corvette on the rear quarter of the car of Preston's. Try and get this position back if you can, obviously. So we have a minute and a half to go. We will see one more racing lap from the majority of the racers, at least here. We'll be heading on to the final lap soon enough. Where is Nismo? Nismo's crossing the line now. So, in fact, I think the midfield onwards will start their final lap now, and the front runners will have the majority of an extra one to do. So here they come through the final corner to start what will be this group's penultimate lap. But Nismo is well into turn 2 and sideways again. Let's see, I think this, no, it's not going to be his final lap, is it? Floody right down there in the middle part of the track. What are we looking for? We're looking for that triplicate as they run through. That's Chaotica alongside Camzilla into turn 1 for Special K. Camzilla taking the position. So, up to 5th place from down in 8th it was a minute ago. Run our drivers. So we're closing this one out for majority of the runners, but Nismo will cross the line, I think, ahead of the timing beam. He's actually slowing to finish this one. Has he just given up the lead of the race in order to tick over? I think he miscalculated that. He has, in fact. Wow! Did that really just happen? Did he risk everything to try and wait for the line? He did, and Glovas just kept the accelerator pressed, and Glovas goes ahead. That has to live on as a terrible, terrible mistake for him. Don't need time secures 3rd. These are just provisional results, though. I will sort this out later. Nismo with a miscalculation as we actually get the sun setting. Comacopa comes 4th, and he'll be pleased with that. Here comes Camzilla. It looks like the other drivers have dropped down hugely. Camzilla in 5th. Zen comes through to take 6th place on the road. I will give you the official results in a few moments. Mercury, Chaotica and Preston cross the line with S. Berman in 10th on the road, getting the nod ahead of T. Deeds. So T. Deeds down. Things are adjusting as we speak, but I'm just trying to call the race on the road. Dirksey goes across the line into 12th, and Floody will come home. Amazingly, Floody home at the rear of the field. But take a look at what happened with Glovas and Nismo. I am speechless. I am absolutely speechless. Glovas, certainly on the road, takes home the W from Nismo, who miscalculated his slow down to the line. Wow, what an absolutely incredible race, and a fitting end to that race, you have to say. Now, let me give you the final official results, because those times were all adjusted for not using both tyre compound, which was incorrect. The official finishing order was Glovas ahead of Nismo, finishing 10 seconds Nismo behind Glovas. Don't Need Time officially 3rd with Comacopa 4th, Camzilla 5th, Zen in 6th, Mercury in 7th, Chaotica in 8th, Preston in 9th, Berman in 10th, T. Deeds secured 11th with Dirksey in 12th, and Floody at the tail of the field, but he's going to come back with a Fanatec wheel apparently for the next race. Congratulations to our podium, Glovas, Nismo and Don't Need Time. Glovas was gifted that one at the end, you have to say. But everybody deserved points for that race. It was incredible. Absolutely great. And thank you so much to everybody who has taken part. I really appreciate all the likes and subscriptions to the channel as well. Gareth says he has to return to his family vacation. As you can hear, my cat is getting really impatient because he thinks it's his meal time. But from me, Webbo, and from everybody here at Deviant Racing League, thank you so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel for the next race, because I don't know exactly what it's going to be just yet. But thanks for watching, and I will catch you on the next race day.